Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we dive into the powerful and courageous story of Harriet Tubman, a woman whose determination and bravery reshaped history. Her life was marked by unimaginable hardship, relentless courage, and an unshakable belief that freedom was worth any risk. From escaping slavery to leading others to freedom through the Underground Railroad, and later serving as a Union spy and a suffragist, her impact reaches far beyond her own lifetime. This story is not just about one woman's bravery, it's about resilience, faith, and the strength to fight against injustice even when the world seems unmovable. Harriet Tubman was born into slavery in Maryland around 1822. From childhood, she witnessed the cruelty and brutality of the slave system. Families were torn apart without warning, people were beaten for the slightest resistance, and any hope of a future was constantly threatened. Harriet experienced these dangers early in life, and at just a young age, she suffered a severe head injury when an overseer threw a heavy metal weight at another slave and hit her instead. This injury affected her for the rest of her life, causing painful headaches and sudden fainting spells. Yet even with this lifelong condition, she became one of the boldest freedom fighters in American history. Growing up, Harriet refused to accept a life without freedom. She felt a calling deep inside her, a belief that she was meant for something more than chains and oppression. This desire for freedom was so strong that she often prayed for strength and guidance. Her faith was her anchor, and she believed that God was preparing her for a greater purpose. As she grew older, she watched more enslaved people around her be sold away from their families, sometimes never to be seen again. The fear of losing her own loved ones pushed her to make the bravest decision of her life, to escape. In 1849, Harriet made her first attempt to flee slavery. She traveled at night, following the North Star and relying on the help of abolitionists and safe houses along what would later be known as the Underground Railroad. The journey was dangerous. Slave catchers were everywhere, and many who attempted escape were captured, beaten, or killed. But Harriet pressed forward, trusting her instincts and her faith. Eventually, after days of fear, exhaustion, and hiding, she crossed into freedom in Pennsylvania. The moment she arrived, she felt the weight of oppression lift from her shoulders. But freedom alone wasn't enough for her. She couldn't imagine living free while her family and friends remained enslaved. Most people who escaped slavery would never risk returning to the South, but Harriet Tubman was not like most people. Motivated by love, loyalty, and a sense of mission, she made the extraordinary choice to go back and help others escape. This decision made her one of the most hunted women in America. She had no weapons except her courage, no maps except the stars, and no guarantees except her faith. Yet she returned again and again, guiding people through forests, swamps, and back roads to safety. Each journey was a battle against fear, danger, and betrayal, but Harriet remained steady, earning the nickname Moses for leading her people to freedom. Over the next decade, Harriet Tubman helped free around 70 enslaved men, women, and children directly, and guided or instructed hundreds more through the network of safe houses. She never lost a single passenger. Her leadership was strategic and intelligent. She knew when to travel, where to hide, and how to stay ahead of slave hunters. She used disguises, changed routes constantly, and relied on trusted abolitionists who risked their lives to support the Underground Railroad. Everyone who followed her felt protected because Harriet was fearless. She believed freedom was a right worth fighting for, worth suffering for, and even worth dying for. When the Civil War began, Harriet's skills and bravery became even more valuable. She joined the Union Army and worked as a nurse at first, helping care for wounded soldiers who were suffering from infections, disease, and traumatic injuries. But soon, the Union commanders realized she had far greater abilities. Her knowledge of Southern terrain, Her understanding of slave communities and her talent for moving undetected made her the perfect spy. Harriet led reconnaissance missions behind enemy lines, gathering intelligence that helped the Union take strategic action. Most famously, she helped lead the Combahee River Raid in 1863, which resulted in the liberation of more than 700 enslaved people in a single night. This was the first military operation in U.S. history led by a woman, and she accomplished it with precision and courage. After the Civil War, Harriet didn't stop fighting for justice. She dedicated herself to helping formerly enslaved people rebuild their lives, offering shelter, food, and guidance to anyone who needed it. She also became a strong advocate for women's suffrage. Harriet believed deeply that women deserved the right to vote, and she spoke at numerous events, standing alongside other suffragists to fight for equality. Though she faced discrimination and financial struggles, she never allowed hardship to silence her voice. Throughout her life, Harriet remained humble, generous, and deeply committed to helping others. She never sought fame or recognition. Her actions were driven by purpose, conviction, and compassion. She lived simply, yet her legacy is monumental. Even without formal education, without wealth, and without the protections that others enjoyed, she changed the course of history through bravery and determination. Harriet Tubman's story is a reminder that one person with courage can make a difference that echoes for generations. She showed that freedom is something worth risking everything for, that justice requires action, and that even in the darkest times, hope can lead the way. Her life teaches us that no barrier is too strong when the human spirit chooses to rise. And today, her legacy continues to inspire millions around the world. Her journey from enslaved child to heroic leader, spy, nurse, activist, and symbol of courage is one of the most extraordinary in American history. She proved that even those born into the harshest conditions can become champions of freedom. Harriet Tubman reminds us that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the strength to move forward in spite of it. Her life stands as a powerful example of what determination, faith, and compassion can achieve.